Good morning, Ms. Mkwena. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Chair. It's Molefe.
Yeah. Molefe, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Chair.
I think I'm aging. Why should I get your surname wrong after you have been with the Commission for 3 years?
It's all is forgiven, Chair.
Yes. I need to give my decision in the matter of Mr. Lungisa Fuzile's application for leave to cross-examine Mr. Van Rooyen. You are for the Commission's legal team. I think there is appearance for both Mr. Fuzile and Mr. Van Rooyen, is that right?
That is correct, Chair.
Okay, maybe they can just place themselves on record from where they are.
Chair, I have Sibaraja appearing for Mr. Fuzile.
Thank you.
Chair, Mr. Simon Mota from Lucky Tikisho Artemis. We are representing the respondent, Mr. Des Van Rooyen. We are here to note the judgment. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you. I've prepared brief reasons for the decision. I do not propose to read the decision, but I've noticed one or two typographical errors which will need to be corrected in the course of the morning. So the decision can be sent to all parties at some stage today. I'll just read out the decision, and the reasons are set out in the decision that will be emailed to the parties. I have reached the conclusion that it is not in the best interests of the function of the Commission to grant Mr. Fuzile leave to cross-examine Mr. Van Rooyen. That's the conclusion I've reached. And the last sentence or line of the decision then reads, in all of the circumstances, I conclude that Mr. Fuzile's application falls to be dismissed. Accordingly, it is dismissed.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, might we take about 5 minutes of an adjournment for Mr. Pretorius to come and address you? I believe there are several other matters he will be dealing with, unless he is ready to proceed at this current moment.
He's sitting that other side. If he needs 5 minutes, we will do that. Do you need 5 minutes, Mr. Pretorius? Oh, okay. Thank you. Otherwise, those who need to be excused are excused.
Thank you, Chair.
Morning, Chair.
Good morning, Mr. Pretorius.
Chair, as alluded to yesterday, the witness set down for today is Mr. Mokhesi. He's represented by attorney and counsel who are here to make an application before you, and I will respond after hearing Mr. Fushi.
Thank you. Counsel, you can move your application from there or move to the podium if they sanitize.
Thank you, Chairperson.
Yes, thank you.
Chairperson, I appear on behalf of Mr. Mokhesi in this matter.
Yes.
Mr. Mokhesi is present, he's not running away.
Yes. Okay, maybe start by just placing yourself on record.
My surname is Forshia,
Yes,
GVR.
thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Chairperson, Mr. Mokhesi, he cooperated up until now. He's still
Yes.
cooperating. He filed 2 affidavits. One on request of the Commission after his first affidavit. However, he was represented by the State Attorney of Bloemfontein, or Free State, up until, well, at the end of June. There were some signs that they might withdraw as attorneys for Mr. Mokhesi, and then that was only confirmed on a letter of 17 July. That letter was addressed to his counsel at that stage, Mr. Tswaheli, and Mr. Tswaheli also was led by, what I gathered from it, by Mr. Helens, SC. So that was 17 July. That came to his attention on the 20th of July, that the State Attorney is definitely withdrawing as his attorneys of record. Then, on the 27th of July, the Mr. Lamprecht, being the investigator of the inquiry of the Commission, he sent an email to Mr. Mokhesi in person, making him aware of today's date, the 5th of August. So that's today exactly 1 week ago, on the Wednesday. After that, Mr. Mokhesi obtained legal representation from Mr. Piper in Bloemfontein, and I'm on brief on behalf of Mr. Piper in this matter. So, at the moment, Chairman, I'm basically playing off the bench. I'm playing as a substitute player in the last minutes of this game. So I'm not in a position to give any sound legal advice at the moment to Mr. Mokhesi. I'm not aware of any of the background of this whole investigation. I've consulted only this morning with Mr. Mokhesi, and he told me that in his view he would like Mr. Helens to remain on brief. In his view, Mr. Helens is the person that assisted him throughout, also in drafting the affidavits. So he's the counsel, the senior counsel with the knowledge at the moment, and the current legal team simply does not have the legal knowledge to assist him sufficiently. He is the HOD of the department. It's important evidence that will be led by him. He's not running, Chairperson. He's more than willing to testify. What we gathered also in respect of yesterday's hearing and from the introduction from Mr. Pretorius is that there's plenty of documents involved in that. Mr. Mokhesi is not sure whether he's seen all of these documents. We've been told this morning that those documents might have been given to the State Attorney Bloemfontein. We don't know. We certainly don't have them. I didn't have any sight of them. My attorney didn't have sight of them. So we're in a very difficult position. And we're not, Mr. Mokhesi is not in a position to testify today. However, he will cooperate, he will testify, and we are simply seeking an indulgence for 2 weeks, if possible, so that those documents can be scrutinized by him, and if he's got a new legal team, if Mr. Helens does not stay on board, so that they've had the opportunity and he will have the proper opportunity to, give evidence before the Commission in a better fashion, I suppose, if he had sight of those documents, because he might feel like he's being ambushed if new documents being introduced to him, and he might not be able to assist this Commission as such in that. So, Chairperson, in short, those are my submissions. The reasons are basically, what I haven't mentioned is that Mr. Helens tested positive for COVID 7 to 10 days ago, if I'm not mistaken. So he can't be here. Initially, when the State Attorney was still the attorney for Mr. Mokhesi, and he agreed to be here during this week. He still had attorneys of record, being the state attorneys, and Mr. Helens would have been available. And subsequent to that letter that came to his attention on the 20th of July, that changed dramatically, and that's why we're not in a position to proceed. He's not in a position to give evidence, and we seek that indulgence, Mr. Chairperson.
Do you know whether the position is that had Mr. Helens not tested positive for COVID-19, they would have been able to proceed today?
What I gathered in the consultation this morning, Chairperson, is that he was available.
He was available.
That is what I gathered. But at that stage, then the state attorney was also still his attorney. He was
Yes.
briefed by them.
Yes.
I cannot answer whether he will remain on brief through
Yes,
the new
yes,
attorneys, whether he will be
yes.
able to.
Yes.
Yes,
yes.
but initially when the dates of this week was given, Mr. Helens was, according
Was
to
available.
my instruction, he was
Yes.
available. Yes.
Yes. Well, if I postpone, we'll look at to what date we can postpone, but we are pressed for time, as everybody knows. The court, that is the commission,
Indeed, sir.
and we have started to arrange for what we call evening sessions. That is an arrangement in terms of which during the day there would be a witness who gives evidence during the day, or witnesses who give evidence during the day, and when we finish with them at 4 o'clock or thereabout, we start with an evening, we start our evening session. So there may be people that we say, come at 4 o'clock, you will give evidence during the evening session, maybe from 4 to 7, maybe from 4 to 8, that kind of thing. So I just want to say, if I do postpone, there is that possibility that he could be fitted into an evening session. But I take it that that should not be a problem.
I've already canvassed that with Mr. Mokhesi, and he's more than willing to even sit in the
Yes,
evenings.
yes. Okay, no, that's fine. Let me hear what Mr.
Thank you,
Pretorius
Chairperson.
has to say. Thank you.
Chair, we did, in preparation for this morning's application, obtain a full history of the engagements between the parties. It's not necessary to go through it in any detail because it's common cause that the date today was a matter of agreement between the parties, including legal representatives. May I just say, in relation to the application, Mr. Mokhesi is an important witness. He is an implicated person, and he is the accounting officer in respect of this project. And I think in those circumstances, Chair, it's important that we make every effort to act fairly towards him so that he may fairly account for the questions that need to be put to him in relation to his role as accounting officer in this matter. Chair, there has been some discussion about the availability of records. In that respect, I've just taken instructions from the investigator who interviewed Mr. Mokhesi on the 30th of October 2019, and the transcript shows that there was a full discussion between the investigators and the legal representatives of Mr. Mokhesi in relation to the availability of documents, the documents that were shown to him. And of course, many of the relevant documents were in the possession of Mr. Mokhesi, or at least under his control, and I think that's an important feature. It may be that the ball is, or the boot is on the other foot, because we may require documents that haven't been given to us. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. The hearing of Mr. Mokhesi's evidence, which was scheduled for today, is postponed to a date to be determined. And he has indicated his commitment to appear before the commission and to give evidence and to cooperate with the commission. An attempt will be made to try and communicate the date in the next few days so that it might not be 2 weeks as you asked for, but every attempt will be made to not delay the hearing of his evidence unduly. But you have indicated that the council that he would prefer to assist him tested positive and about 7 or so days ago, so one might bear that in mind in fixing the date. So the application for a postponement is granted and the date will be communicated to all concerned in the next few days. We are going to adjourn because Mr. Mokhesi was going to be the only witness for the day. It means we are not sitting for the next few hours, but this afternoon at 5 o'clock, the commission will sit to hear the evidence of Judge Makubela as arranged a few days ago. We adjourn.